Um, Thank you so much for coming and doing this. We are so excited to have you guys here.
It's good to be back.
Yes. Speaking of being back, the first of 2 nights here in Portland. You guys played last night. How'd everything go for you? How was it?
It went great. We always love playing here. It's a new room for us. We haven't played at the Keller before, so beautiful space there. And, it's actually the first time we've played inside in a couple of years.
Wow. So how did you, I mean, obviously you've got one more night to play here in Portland as well. Yeah. 2 nights back to back is always great. You go in, you play the first night at the Keller, you're inside, you're like, wow, we're inside, we're not outside, that sort of stuff. How would you change things between, say, last night and going into tonight? Is there anything that you're doing maybe set-wise or even with blocking or the stage or anything like that?
Well, yeah, every time we do a 2-night stand, we try to mix up the set list at least a little bit.
Sure.
So this time we're going to play some stuff we haven't played before and change things around a little bit and, see how it goes. Which is always a little scary because you kind of get used to playing things a certain way.
Sure.
But it's good to keep yourself on your toes, mix it up a little bit.
Ben, none of us are ever scared on stage.
Sometimes I get the feeling like someone's watching me.
Yeah, really? Kind of get that vibe, right? The latest album from you guys, Long Lost, turns 1 year old tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
1 year old album. Wow. Just a fantastic release. May 21st of 2021, in case you're keeping track.
No, it wasn't. It's time for him to get a job, though.
Yeah. What really struck me about the album, first of all, it's such a great sounding release. It's got this sort of overall feel behind it. It's got a dreamy kind of landscape when you listen to the music on there. One thing I noticed about, you've got the album cover and also the accompanying videos that went along with it. There are some blurred out faces going on. Mm-hmm. I know that there's some significance to that. Tell me about that.
Well, not to get too in the weeds here, but a lot of the themes of the record are sort of about memory and nostalgia and losing hold of some of those things that you go through in life. So I had this idea of these artists who had created this music, this kind of imaginary roster of musicians who are kind of being lost over time, and people are kind of forgetting them or, losing their grasp on them. So it just seemed like a nice way to visualize that, having their faces blurred out. So I kind of made a bunch of album covers that looked like old album covers and blurred the faces out.
When in seeing the video, especially for Mine Forever, that video, by the way, is fantastic. I don't know if you guys have seen the video for this, but I mean, just speaking from the vintage aspect of things, it immediately draws you into another time from decades in the past. And it's even got, the intro with the WBUB and, Alive from Whispering Pines and all that. But in the video, once again, you've got the blurred out faces, and it kind of, honestly, it gets a little terrifying. There are so many different aspects to the video. Tell me, if you would, about how you guys went about making that, and did you sort of conceptualize that as you were creating the song itself, or did it come to you afterward?
Yeah, we like to conceptualize the sort of visual side of things while we're making the music. They all kind of go together for us. And because of the pandemic, we had finished most of the record, but we kind of ended up holed up together after that. And conceptualization took on a new dimension, I guess, because we had so much time.
Kind of a terrifying dimension.
Yeah. So to make all this stuff, we kind of had to enlist a really close group of people. So the director of that video is actually my brother-in-law.
Oh, cool.
And, my wife and my sister and all of our closest friends worked on all that stuff with us. And those are the people who are starring in the video because we had to keep it tight in our bubble.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was just a fun bunch of knuckleheads kind of making a movie.
It's great. It's really, really cool to check out, and I hope it didn't ruin any sort of family relationships or anything like that when you guys were doing it.
Surprisingly, we're still talking.
You're still talking. That's good. That's always a good thing. I mentioned Alive from Whispering Pines. This was really cool. This was a series of live streams that you guys did. Obviously, the pandemic for the past couple of years, a lot of musicians have changed up sort of the whole idea about what they've been doing. Had you guys thought of that before the pandemic happened, or did things happen and then you said to yourselves, hey, let's do some live streaming and sort of keep everything going here?
Well, it's funny. We always kind of had this idea of doing a sort of variety show. We always thought that was a cool idea. We have this studio that we've been working out of for the past 7 years or so, where we've made the past 3 records. And it's kind of our clubhouse, and we do our videos there and stuff. So we always had this idea of doing a show, but with touring and everything, there was never time or energy to do it, and the pandemic kind of made it possible in a weird way. So, I'm sure nobody was happy to go through that or to be still going through it, I guess, as I can see from all your masks. But, we tried to take something out of it and turn it into something.
Yeah.
We tried to find a way to continue connecting with all our fans who are just such an incredible group of people. I mean, it's unbelievable. Just last night, we got delivered this beautiful painting someone made.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's just, it's so touching to see that we inspire people to do things like that.
Well, you yourself, you've done some painting.
Yeah.
That was prior to getting into music? Were you kind of doing things at the same time?
Kind of all together,
Okay.
I started my career as a painter, but, couldn't cut the mustard, I guess. So.
It's kind of a rough gig being a painter.
It is, yeah. It is. I'm not too good at working with rich people. So.
You mentioned the fans of the band, and I just learned this, and I don't know if you knew this or not, but evidently, and I might be wrong, Reddit might have steered me incorrectly, but do they call themselves Travelers? Have you heard this?
The
fans of Lord Huron.
Yeah, I think there's a few different groups of people. There's Travelers, there's the World Enders,
Okay.
who are kind of like the tough ones.
Oh.
No, it's cool though. Create all this stuff not knowing if anybody's gonna give a crap, and it's cool to see that people do and get into it. You don't have to. Obviously, you can appreciate the music just as a song or
Sure.
whatever. But to see that people kind of get into the stories behind it all is really encouraging for me, anyway.
Yeah, you don't hear that often about fans of a band that will call themselves a group, and much less. You guys have multiple groups of people.
I guess so. Yeah.
I guess they're out sparring in the streets or something like that. Well, hopefully not. But
yeah, knife fights and
yeah, exactly, knife fights. We'll meet you out back, man. One last question for you, Ben. I understand that you actually produced the most recent album from you guys as well. Is that something that you've typically done with other releases from Lord Huron, or was this a first for you? Would you use an outside producer?
We've produced them all. Yeah, I've always been interested in working with an outside producer, but just the way we work and our sort of, I don't know, idiosyncratic process seems to work better when we just on our own. But I'd like to someday, honestly.
Nice.
And I've only ever produced our own music too, so I'd like to produce somebody else's music maybe sometime too.
If you had the option of producing someone else's
call the
music,
number on your screen now.
Yeah, exactly. Ben Schneider, producer. Is there anyone that comes to mind that you might want to work with someday? Like if you, like someone on your bucket list, you could just go up to them and say, "Hey, I understand you're working on some tunes."
Honestly, I'd like it to be some unknown that I just stumble into a bar and see him playing or something.
Nice.
I think that'd be the coolest thing. Yeah.
Very sort of organic way of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ben Schneider from Lord Huron, everybody. Well, I'll let you guys get to it. Thank you so much for coming and playing the PNC Live Lounge here at KINK. Once again, I'm Gustav with 101.9 KINK. Thank you so much, you guys, for coming, and thanks for playing. Good to see you, Ben. All right, awesome.
Now these guys are going to join me. This is Misty. Can't remember your name. That's Miguel. Brandon. Tom. Mark.